everybody's health is comfort.
Yeah, Comfort, he should be good for see some action towards the weekend here when we play the 3 games on the weekend.
And who's really tonight for 2 periods?
Huso's going tonight, yes. How far he's going to go will dictate with the game.
How many guys do you expect are going to have to do the doubleheader? I mean, after last night, you don't have any.
Yeah, there'll be a couple, yes. We expect we'll use some of the guys that didn't play last night that practice here, but some of the guys that played in Pittsburgh, in Buffalo last night, will play again tonight. So, again, you're going to have some of these back-to-backs, which is fine. It's just kind of spreading them out and, try to avoid 3 and 4 for some guys. Trying to balance what we're trying to get accomplished in camp with obviously making sure guys, one, have their best opportunity to perform in camp and, avoid some potential injuries with the 2 and 2s and the 3 games in 4 days.
What's your message been to Justin Hall coming into the season? I know he didn't get as much opportunity.
Yeah, keep going a little more. Full confidence in Justin. It's just last year we were in a situation where we were very healthy, fortunate, but very unique to be that healthy all year on the back end. So just bring your game, do the things you're good at, defend, be hard to play against, and we'll see where it goes from there.
It would seem like it would either be him or Jeff Petrie that would be a natural partner maybe for Simon. What is it you like about what Petrie brings?
Size. I like the fact that Petey's trying to evolve his game as he becomes older in his career. Obviously, with some offense, he produced ran power plays back in his career. I think he's concentrating on just defending and being simple with the puck. Offense comes great, but just playing a simple game.
With Lucas and Mo, it seems easy to forget with how much and how well they've played, how young they are. But how have you seen the two of them grow as leaders since you?
Yeah, I think we're going to have some more of them in those situations. I think the first part of young players is their own self-accountability, and I think they've done a good job with growing that. And then I think it's probably some accountability on peers in the group, and they're continuing to grow in that. So it's been a nice progression watching them in that area of leadership, and now we'll look to take those next steps.
With Lucas in particular, it seems I don't know if it's maybe a physical maturity thing to some extent, or just the way his game has naturally evolved, but it seems like he's embraced the sort of physical aspects of the game in certain ways. Have you seen that play out?
Probably both. Probably a little bit of his physical maturity, being able to hang in there, win more of those battles. I remember, even last year, he was evolving some of that internal growth, and we just talked about him being a little bit bigger, a little bit stronger. Now all of a sudden he turns 4 or 5 of those 50-50 battles into wins, and now it's more puck touches, it's more offense, and you see the entire game grow. I think that that high compete battle has always been in him. I just think it's evolved a little more as he's become stronger.
Do you kind of have a opening that roster in your head, or is it still kind of?
No, there's some
blurry?
moving parts in there.
There?
Obviously, there's going to be some bigger picture plans with everything, but we still want this to be competitive down the stretch here.
You gave Berger a look there with some highly skilled players the other night, but if he's been on pretty much with more of a grinding type players. I mean, is that a big adjustment for a player in the way he approaches how to play?
I think so. I just sometimes you get in the new NHL and you may not have the luxury of those perfect 4 lines. When I say the perfect 4 lines, everyone would love a number 1 line, number 2 line, and 3 and 4 line that check. But I think as the game's evolved, it just looks differently. And we benefited from it last year. We scored in our bottom 6 with some non-traditional checkers in the bottom six. I think it's a lecture of implementing more skill to your lineup and spreading it out throughout the lineup. So whatever situation he's in, we're going to ask him what we ask of a lot of guys. Be cognizant of that two-way game without taking away from your offense.
We've talked a lot about, the difficulty in carrying, or challenges of carrying three goalies, and I think last year Blind didn't play until 5 weeks in or something, but going back to the defensemen, I mean, it looks like you'll have 8 on the roster. What kind of challenge is that to make?
Yeah, well, we want it to be a competition still, and hopefully that'll play itself out. And again, I think most teams have an 8 depth chart. It's just staying healthy. So I think that may be challenged with how healthy our back line is. But to me, that's a good luxury, and we'll let it play out through camp. We have 4 games yet, and we'll get a better feel of how that plays out.
Back to the leadership for Lucas and Mo, I'm curious how useful it is for them to be those younger guys when you have players like Casper, Danielson, Mazur that are coming up that maybe are closer in age to them they can relate to.
Yeah, it's an experience thing. Obviously, it's one thing being same age, it's another thing having 200 games in the league and being the same age. So I think they've seen what winning looks like, what it takes to win, what hard work looks like, those things you kind of learn early in your career. And as we keep growing, they've been a big part of it. I think they've also seen what goes on inside the locker room and away from the rink that goes into growing a team, which is all positive.
And good. You've talked about how intense this training camp is. There's a lot of games kind of back to back to back, and you have a tough schedule coming up to start the regular season. And I'm curious how you kind of weigh all those things with how intense you train these players, how you're using these players as the season starts to make sure you get the most out of them.
Yeah, there's a balance there. There's a little science to it on recovery, and obviously we don't ever want to go into games tired or hurt. But at the same time, I think we're trying to maybe create a little more of a baseline, for where our guys are physically, but I think it turns into a little bit of a mental aspect to it too. So I think part of this harder camp, if you will, has been asking the group for a little bit more, and I think we want to maybe push them a little more physically, and hopefully that turns into a little more mentally too.
Eric, are you going to be able to play an NHL roster again this week?
I think so. It won't be exact, but I think we'll take advantage of probably those 2 home games of giving guys some looks. And again, what we're trying to accomplish, some line combinations, but some power play combinations. Obviously, the power play was not very sharp last night. Live reps are real, so we don't want to accomplish that. But we still want to give some of those young guys and maybe some of those guys, battling for spots, some opportunity too.
Regardless of what the roster is on October 10, what is the preseason for Casper, Danielson, Mazur showing you about kind of the?
Very impressed with all 3 of them. They've kind of played into my optimistic vision of them. I like all 3. I think I've stated that quite a bit over the last year and a half, and they've done nothing to disappoint in that. Now, where that fits, like you said, regardless of the day 1 roster, I think it's a really good sign and a positive, the showing they've had in camp so far.
You talked before about kind of the DNA of the forward group, and those 3, they have certainly offense, but they have a little more of the 2-way DNA. Like, does that kind of affect the direction that you push?
I think so. It excites me. Even last night, I know it's an exhibition game, and a lot of times veterans get what they want or need, maybe not want, what they need out of exhibition. But we were limited to chance. We played a lot on the outside, and those 3 were noticeable in getting to the inside, winning some battles. So I think, we talk about the DNA of some of our forwards. I think they could grow that, but help the entire team DNA. Again, with how bland, I guess, we might have been at times last night, you found those 3 showing up because they were winning battles, which is a good sign. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Thank you.